If you're a senior and you've noticed your hair thinning, shedding more than usual, or simply not growing the way it used to, listen very carefully because what I'm about to share is simple, natural, and often completely overlooked. Hair loss is not just about age. It's about circulation, nutrient delivery, hormonal balance, and inflammation. As we get older, blood flow to the scalp decreases. The hair follicles become weaker, dormant, and eventually stop producing healthy hair. On top of that, nutrient absorption declines, stress hormones rise, and inflammation quietly damages the scalp environment. But here sits the good news. You can support hair regrowth from the inside starting tonight. All it takes is 1 spoon before bed. I'm talking about raw pumpkin seeds or cold-pressed pumpkin seed oil. Let me explain why this works so powerfully. Pumpkin seeds are rich in zinc, a mineral absolutely essential for hair follicle repair and growth. Low zinc levels are strongly linked to thinning hair and excessive shedding, especially in seniors. They also contain phytosterols, natural compounds that help block excess DHT, the hormone that shrinks hair follicles and leads to pattern hair loss in both men and women. Now here's something most people don't realize. Pumpkin seed oil improves blood circulation and reduces scalp inflammation, allowing nutrients to finally reach hair follicles that have been starving for years. And why before bed? Because your body does its deepest repair work while you sleep. Hair follicles regenerate at night. When you give your body the right nutrients before bedtime, you dramatically increase their effectiveness. Just 1 tablespoon, that sits it. You can eat a spoon of raw pumpkin seeds or take a spoon of cold-pressed pumpkin seed oil. No pills, no chemicals, no harsh treatments. Over time, many seniors notice reduced hair shedding, stronger, thicker strands, improved scalp health, and in some cases, new hair growth in thinning areas. But let me be very clear. This is not an overnight miracle. Hair growth takes consistency. If you do this every night, along with proper hydration, gentle scalp massage, and reduced sugar intake, you're giving your hair follicles the environment they need to wake back up. Remember, your body wants to heal. It just needs the right tools. Start tonight, 1 spoon before bed. And give your hair a chance to grow again naturally. As we grow older, many people quietly accept hair thinning and hair loss as an unavoidable part of aging. They look in the mirror, see more scalp than they remember, and assume there's nothing they can do about it. But that belief is one of the biggest misunderstandings when it comes to hair health in seniors. Hair loss is not simply a matter of age. In fact, in many cases, it is a sign that something deeper is going on inside the body, something that can often be improved naturally. Hair is living tissue. Every single hair on your head grows from a follicle that depends on a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and proper hormonal signals. When those things are disrupted, hair growth slows, weakens, or stops altogether. As we age, several changes take place that interfere with this process, but none of them mean your hair follicles are dead. Most of the time, they are simply dormant, starved, inflamed, or poorly supplied. One of the biggest issues is circulation. Blood flow naturally decreases with age, especially to the smaller blood vessels that supply the scalp. When circulation drops, less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach the hair follicles. Without fuel, follicles shrink and produce thinner, weaker hair. Over time, they may stop producing visible hair altogether. But the key point here is this: improve circulation and you improve the environment for hair growth. Another major factor is nutrient absorption. Seniors often eat enough food, but their bodies don't absorb nutrients as efficiently as they once did. Minerals like zinc, magnesium, and iron, critical for hair growth, can become deficient even with a decent diet. Zinc in particular plays a vital role in repairing hair follicles and supporting the growth cycle of hair. When zinc levels are low, hair sheds faster than it can regrow. This is not permanent damage, it is a nutritional imbalance. Hormones also play a powerful role. As we age, the balance between protective hormones and damaging ones shifts. One hormone in particular, DHT, becomes more dominant. DHT causes hair follicles to shrink, shortening the growth phase of hair and extending the resting phase. The result is thinner hair, slower growth, and eventual hair loss. This affects both men and women, even though it's often discussed only in men. The important thing to understand is that DHT-related hair loss can be slowed and in many cases partially reversed by addressing the underlying triggers. Inflammation is another silent contributor. Chronic, low-grade inflammation becomes more common with age. It may come from stress, poor sleep, blood sugar imbalance, or inflammatory foods. When the scalp is inflamed, hair follicles become irritated and less productive. Inflammation tightens the tissue around the follicle, restricting blood flow and oxygen delivery even further. Calm the inflammation and the scalp becomes a healthier place for hair to grow. Stress cannot be ignored either. Many seniors experience emotional stress, physical stress, or both. Elevated stress hormones push the body into survival mode, shifting resources away from non-essential functions like hair growth. This is why hair often thins during periods of grief, illness, or chronic anxiety. When stress is reduced and the nervous system is supported, hair growth can slowly resume. Now here's the part that should give you hope. In most seniors, hair follicles are not permanently damaged. They are simply inactive. Think of them like seeds in dry soil. The seeds are still there, but without water and nutrients, nothing grows. Improve the soil, and the seeds can sprout again. The human body is incredibly intelligent. It constantly repairs itself when given the right conditions. Even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, the body still knows how to regenerate tissue, including hair. What it needs is proper circulation, adequate nutrients, reduced inflammation, balanced hormones, and a calm nervous system. This is why natural approaches can be so effective. Instead of forcing hair to grow with harsh chemicals or medications that come with side effects, you work with the body's own healing mechanisms. You support the systems that feed the hair follicles rather than attacking the scalp. Many seniors are surprised to learn that hair regrowth doesn't start on the scalp. It starts internally when digestion improves, when blood sugar stabilizes, when inflammation drops, and when circulation increases. Hair growth becomes a natural outcome of better overall health. Hair loss is often one of the earliest visible signs that the body is under strain, but that also means it can be one of the first things to improve when you start taking care of the root causes. With patience and consistency, hair can become thicker, stronger, and healthier again. So no, hair loss in seniors is not always permanent. It is often a message from the body asking for support. And when you respond to that message in the right way, you may be surprised by what your body is still capable of doing naturally, gently, and in its own time. Most people underestimate the power of timing when it comes to healing and regeneration. They focus on what they eat or what supplement they take, but they rarely consider when they do it. Yet the timing of nutrients can dramatically change how the body uses them, especially in seniors. This is where the simple act of taking 1 spoon before bed becomes so important. Tonight, your body enters its deepest repair mode. When you sleep, stress hormones decline, the nervous system calms, and blood flow shifts away from digestion and toward restoration. This is when cells repair themselves, tissues regenerate, and growth signals are activated. Hair follicles are no exception. In fact, much of hair growth activity occurs during sleep, when the body is focused on healing rather than reacting to daily stress. As we age, this nighttime repair process becomes less efficient. Sleep may be lighter, shorter, or more fragmented. This means the body has fewer opportunities to rebuild what has been worn down during the day. By providing the right nutrients before bed, you support the body during the very window when it is most capable of using them. A single spoon of the right food before sleep works because it delivers concentrated nutrition without overwhelming digestion. Large meals at night force the body to keep working instead of repairing, but a small nutrient-dense amount provides raw materials for regeneration while allowing the body to stay in a restful state. This is especially important for seniors whose digestive systems may be more sensitive. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. 1 spoon is easy to remember, easy to tolerate, and easy to stick with. Consistency matters far more than quantity. When the body receives the same supportive signal night after night, it begins to adapt. Hormones stabilize, inflammation gradually decreases, and circulation improves. Over time, this creates a healthier internal environment for hair growth. Before bed, blood sugar is naturally lower and insulin levels are calmer. This is important because high insulin interferes with hair growth hormones and increases inflammation. Taking a small amount of healthy fat and minerals at night does not spike blood sugar. Instead, it provides slow, steady nourishment that the body can use throughout the night. There is also a neurological benefit. Certain nutrients help calm the nervous system, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Better sleep means better oxygen delivery, better hormone balance, and better tissue repair. Hair follicles respond to this improved internal balance by shifting out of survival mode and back into growth mode. Many seniors unknowingly sabotage hair growth by eating late, sugary snacks, or skipping nourishment altogether at night. Sugary foods increase inflammation and disrupt sleep, while going to bed depleted forces the body to conserve resources. In both cases, hair growth is pushed further down the priority list. One small intentional nutritional input before bed sends a different message to the body. You're safe, you're nourished, and you can repair. Another reason nighttime intake matters is hormonal signaling. Growth hormone, which plays a role in tissue repair and regeneration, is released in higher amounts during deep sleep. This hormone supports hair follicle activity, protein synthesis, and cellular repair. When the body has access to the nutrients it needs during this window, the effects are amplified. This is not about instant results. Hair growth is slow by nature. What you are doing is laying the groundwork. Night after night, you're reducing the obstacles that block hair growth. You're improving circulation, calming inflammation, and supporting the hormones that tell hair follicles it is safe to grow again. Seniors often believe they need complex routines or expensive treatments. In reality, the body responds best to gentle, consistent signals. One spoon before bed is not about forcing change. It is about allowing the body to do what it already knows how to do. When you make this a nightly habit, you are working with your biology, not against it. Over time, this small action can support not only hair health, but overall vitality, better sleep, steadier energy, and improved recovery often come along with it. So don't overlook the power of simplicity. Healing does not always require more effort. It often requires better timing. And by giving your body the right support before bed, you give it the opportunity to repair, restore, and regenerate while you sleep. To truly understand why this works, you have to look at what the body actually needs to grow healthy hair and why that process slows down with age. Hair growth is not random. It is a highly organized biological process that depends on minerals, hormones, circulation, and inflammation control. When even one of these factors is off, hair follicles struggle. When several are off at the same time, hair thinning becomes noticeable. What makes this approach so effective is that it addresses multiple root causes at once. One of the most critical nutrients for hair health is zinc. Zinc is involved in cell division, tissue repair, and protein synthesis, all essential for hair follicle function. Hair follicles are among the fastest growing tissues in the body, which means they have a high demand for zinc. As we age, zinc deficiency becomes more common due to reduced absorption, medications, and chronic stress. When zinc levels are low, hair follicles weaken, shedding increases, and regrowth slows. Restoring zinc availability helps follicles repair themselves and re-enter the growth phase. Another key factor is the hormone DHT. DHT is a byproduct of testosterone and becomes more influential with age. It binds to receptors in hair follicles, causing them to shrink. As follicles shrink, the hair becomes thinner and shorter until eventually it stops growing altogether. This process affects men and women alike. The problem is not testosterone itself, but how it is converted and how sensitive the follicles are to DHT. Certain natural compounds help reduce the impact of DHT, allowing follicles to maintain their size and function. Inflammation quietly accelerates this process. Chronic inflammation tightens the tissue around hair follicles and disrupts the blood supply that feeds them. It also interferes with normal hair cycling, keeping follicles stuck in a resting state. Seniors often experience low-level inflammation without obvious symptoms. This internal stress gradually weakens hair follicles over time. Reducing inflammation allows the scalp to relax, improving oxygen delivery and nutrient flow to the follicles. Circulation ties all of this together. Hair follicles depend on tiny blood vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients. When circulation is poor, even the best nutrients cannot reach their target. Aging, inactivity, and metabolic issues all reduce blood flow to the scalp. Improving circulation increases nutrient delivery and removes waste products that interfere with follicle function. Healthy blood flow is one of the most overlooked aspects of hair regrowth. What makes this natural approach so powerful is that it works on all these levels simultaneously. It doesn't just stimulate the scalp from the outside, it feeds the follicles from within. When the body receives the right nutrients, hormone balance improves, inflammation decreases, and circulation naturally increases. This creates an internal environment where hair follicles can recover. Another important benefit is protein support. Hair is made primarily of keratin, a protein structure that requires specific amino acids and minerals to form correctly. Without the proper building blocks, hair becomes brittle and weak. Seniors often consume enough protein, but lack the minerals needed to utilize it effectively. Supporting mineral balance allows the body to turn dietary protein into strong, resilient hair. There is also a protective effect at the cellular level. Oxidative stress damages hair follicles and accelerates aging. Natural antioxidants help neutralize this damage, protecting follicle cells from further breakdown. When oxidative stress is reduced, hair follicles are better able to maintain their growth cycle. Consistency is what allows these benefits to accumulate. Hair follicles do not respond to a single dose. They respond to repeated signals over time. Each day of proper support strengthens the follicle's ability to grow. Each night of reduced inflammation and improved circulation moves the body closer to balance. This is why many people notice less shedding first. Reduced hair loss is often the earliest sign that the follicles are stabilizing. Strength and thickness come later. Regrowth, when it happens, is gradual. This is not a flaw. It is proof that the body is healing in a sustainable way. What's most encouraging is that this approach does not rely on force. It relies on cooperation with the body's natural design. Instead of fighting hair loss, you remove the obstacles that caused it in the first place. Hair regrowth is not about age, it is about environment. When you improve the internal environment, hair follicles can do what they were designed to do. Even after years of thinning, many follicles remain capable of producing hair once the conditions are right. This is why addressing the root causes matter so much. When you support zinc levels, reduce the influence of harmful hormones, calm inflammation, improve circulation, and protect cells from damage, you are not just treating hair loss, you are restoring balance. And when balance returns, growth often follows naturally. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to improve their health, especially as they get older, is looking for fast results. We live in a world that promises instant fixes, but the human body does not work that way. Healing, repair, and regeneration all happen gradually through repeated signals given over time. Hair growth is a perfect example of this principle. It responds not to force, but to consistency. When hair has been thinning for years, the follicles did not weaken overnight. They slowly lost circulation, nutrients, and proper hormonal signaling. Reversing that process takes patience. This does not mean it is ineffective. It means it is real. Sustainable improvement always happens step by step. Consistency sends a message to the body. Each time you support your system in the same way, you reinforce that message. Over time, the body begins to trust that it has what it needs. Stress hormones decrease, repair hormones increase, and energy is redirected toward healing. Hair follicles respond by stabilizing first, then strengthening, and eventually growing. Many seniors become discouraged because they don't see immediate changes in the mirror, but early improvements are happening beneath the surface. Reduced shedding is often the first sign. Hair that falls out more slowly means follicles are staying in the growth phase longer. This alone is a major victory, even if new growth is not yet visible. Stronger hair texture is another early sign. Hair may feel thicker, less brittle, and more resilient. This indicates that the follicles are producing better quality strands. Only later does visible regrowth occur, often starting as fine, soft hairs that gradually mature over time. Hydration plays an important supporting role. Hair follicles cannot function properly in a dehydrated environment. Seniors often drink less water than they need, which thickens the blood and reduces circulation. Proper hydration improves blood flow to the scalp, allowing nutrients to reach the follicles more efficiently. Even the best nutritional strategy will struggle without adequate water. Lifestyle habits also matter. Gentle scalp massage improves local circulation and helps relax tight tissue around follicles. Reducing excessive sugar intake lowers inflammation and stabilizes insulin levels, both of which support hair growth. Quality sleep allows repair hormones to do their job. These habits work together, amplifying the effects of consistent nutrition. Another important factor is avoiding disruption. Frequently changing routines, stopping and starting, or constantly switching remedies confuses the body. It prevents the accumulation of positive signals needed for regeneration. Sticking with a simple, sustainable habit allows the body to adapt and improve gradually. Consistency also protects against frustration. When expectations are realistic, progress becomes easier to recognize. Hair regrowth is measured in months, not days. This timeline aligns with the natural hair growth cycle, which includes phases of growth, rest, and shedding. Supporting the body through multiple cycles is what produces lasting change. It's also important to understand that hair growth reflects overall health. When digestion improves, when inflammation decreases, and when circulation becomes more efficient, hair responds. This means that even if regrowth is slow, the body is still benefiting. Improved energy, better sleep, and more stable mood often appear alongside hair improvements. Seniors sometimes believe that age limits their ability to regenerate, but the body continues repairing itself as long as it is alive. What changes with age is the margin for error. The body becomes less forgiving of poor habits, nutrient deficiencies, and chronic stress. Consistency compensates for this by providing steady support. This approach is gentle, which makes it sustainable. There is no shock to the system, no harsh intervention, and no dependency on artificial stimulation. Instead, you are creating an environment that allows natural processes to resume. That is why the results, when they come, tend to last. It's also worth remembering that hair is not a priority for the body. Survival always comes first. Only when the body feels safe and supported does it invest resources in hair growth. Consistency is what creates that sense of safety. Over time, small daily actions accumulate into meaningful change. One night does not matter much. 1 month begins to matter. Several months can transform the internal environment entirely. This is how true healing works. So if you choose this path, commit to it calmly. Do not rush it. Do not measure progress obsessively. Trust the process. Give your body the support it needs night after night and allow it to respond in its own time. Hair regrowth is not a battle to be won. It is a relationship to be rebuilt. And with patience, consistency, and the right habits, that relationship can become strong again naturally and sustainably.